Either that or 33.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna get started. There's Pa, he's here. Mother dear. Daddy Russell. Alright, let me get the phone going first. Let me get that about right there. Perfect. Maybe I'll aim it up just a little. No, that looks good. Okay. Let me get this going. Go.
Okay.
Speak up loud.
Who has been the most important person in your life? Can you tell me about him or her?
I gotta see my answers. Oh, my mother, I guess. And, oh, no, my mother. Lena was her name. Lena Van Epps.
What was the happiest moment in your life?
Happiest?
It's gonna take a long time.
Going to grade school.
What was the saddest?
Death of daughter Stephanie.
Who has been the biggest influence on your life? What lessons did that person teach you?
Well, I think that was my old boss, Dorothy Robert, and my teacher, Mrs. Trebilcock.
Who has been the kindest to you in your life?
Oh, that was Mrs. Robert, because she always helped me with my job. I had to take shorthand and I couldn't read it. But she knew how my bosses talk, so she could tell what I had written down. That's when I worked for a Presbyterian church.
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life?
Lessons, what, honey?
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life?
In life? Just to take one day at a time.
What is your earliest memory?
Being in my crib.
What is your favorite memory of me?
My favorite one?
Yeah.
Oh, when you were born, and when we were up at the hospital to see you. They took you into the nursery and did all the testing on you, and Amy put her finger in your mouth. Remember that?
Are there any funny stories or memories or characters from your life that you want to tell me about?
Well, I just remember when you were born, Amy putting her finger in your mouth. I thought that was awful. And you like to eat Cheerios. When you would cry, I'd always bring a bag of Cheerios with me when I come to your house. And that would just stop you from crying. Giving you Cheerios. And one time you got so mad when Grandpa and I were babysitting for you that because we wouldn't let you go in the kitchen. And we had the crib put in the doorway, and you were so mad. You cried and bawled and pulled on that crib. You were bound you were going to get in that kitchen. I bet you cried for 45 minutes straight. None of us would give in.
What are you proudest of?
Proudest of? Oh, my kids, I guess. They've been good kids.
What in life have you felt most alone?
Most alone? Ooh. I'll have to come back to that one. Did I have something written down?
Nope.
Just ask ones that have something written.
Oh, okay.
I guess I never felt alone.
How would you like to be remembered?
Patient. Just being patient, I guess.
Do you have any regrets?
Oh, many. Yeah, quitting school, for one thing. That's my biggest one.
College.
Huh?
Quitting college.
That's school.
Yeah.
What are your hopes for what the future holds for me and my children?
Mostly happiness and good health. Those are the two important things.
For your great-great-grandchildren listening to this years from now, is there any wisdom you'd want to pass on to them? What would you want them to know?
Make sure you try to be as healthy as you can and exercise and take one day at a time.
How did you choose my name?
Well, you were named after your grandpa first and then your dad. So you're the third Ted.
What was I like as a baby or as a young child?
Oh, you loved Cheerios. And you like to spin the wheels on your trucks and crash your trucks into things.
Do you remember any of the songs you used to sing to me? And can you sing them now?
Ooh.
Did she write something down for that one? Oh.
Twinkle, twinkle. What did I write?
I guess it's like
Let me
short.
see. You can't read it, honey? Which one is it?
I think that one.
Shortening bread. Oh, yeah. Mommy's little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mommy's little baby loves shortening bread.
We could play that on guitar even.
And the doctor said, give that baby some shortening bread. Mommy's little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mommy's little baby loves shortening bread.
Okay.
Do you remember me singing that to you?
Not really. What is your favorite memory of each of my siblings?
Your siblings?
Yeah.
Oh. You mean Amy and Eric?
How about if you make my siblings, make it Darcy and Jenny?
Oh. What are my, what? What was the question, honey?
What are your favorite memory of your children?
Memories of Darcy and Jenny. Well, they used to have a lot of sibling rivalry. They used to fight with each other. And Darcy was always late getting ready to go to school, so we always had to hurry and drive that old Dodge Dart too fast to get her to school before the bell rang. And Jenny worried about being late for school.
Me too.
Huh?
Jenny was the me too.
Oh, Jenny always say me too. Every time Darcy wanted to do something, Jenny wanted to too.
That's what Grandpa always called her, wasn't it?
So we called her me too. I was trying to keep up with Darcy.
What were the hardest moments you had when I was growing up?
Well, you wanted your own way, and if you didn't get it, you would cry. And then I'd give you your Cheerios.
How about if you make that question about me now?
Okay, about Ted the Second. What was the question? Memories on it?
Yeah. Oh, wait, what was the hardest moments when he was growing up?
When Ted the Second was growing up.
There's a lot of them.
Well, when he got in the 5th grade, they called me from school because he and his friends were acting up during their lunch hour. And so Mrs. Scott and I had to go down and talk to the principal. Oh, and then I had to talk with his counselor, Mr.
Perry.
What was his name, Selby? Tissa, Mr. Tissa. Yeah, why he was such a bad actor in school. And it's 'cause Mr. Tissot thought he didn't have enough motivation to do his schoolwork. He wanted to fool around instead. And so that got him in trouble, especially when he changed from Perrin Palmer to Swiggle School. Because the whole 5th grade were the bad actors that had been in Perrin Palmer School.
What advice would you like to give me about raising my own children?
Take one day at a time.
How did you meet Grandpa?
At the H&H bar. When I went to look for my Aunt Bee.
We can edit that out.
There was no place to sit, so Grandpa brought over a chair for me. And then I had to leave because I wasn't 21. So he took me to the Roadhouse and they let me in there.
How far back can you trace our family tree?
All the way back to the 1600s.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a retired. I just stay at home.
What did you do? Is that what?
Oh, I did work
What-
at
what
Hazel
do you-
Finley last. But now I just go there once a month to volunteer.
How about in Lansing? You worked at the Adjutant General or something like that?
Yeah, I worked for the Adjutant General, who was part of the National Guard. And that was part of the state. I worked for the state. And before that, I worked at Michigan School Service. And before that, I worked at First Presbyterian Church. And before that, I worked at Robert Hall's clothing store. Did you ever hear of Robert Hall's?
No.
Me
I don't know if
neither.
they still have them.
No. Most recent place you worked.
Most recent was Hazel Finley.
She
That
said
was a
that one.
nursing home.
Oh, she did?
What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Well, I guess I thought I was going to be a math teacher. But I never made it that far.
What lessons has your work life taught you?
Work life. Take one day at a time.
If you could do anything now, what would you do and why?
Be a math teacher. Here's some things I want to tell you about too.
Okay. Do you plan on retiring? If so, when?
Yep, I'm already retired.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, good. I like to sleep in the mornings. I like to go to lunch every day.
Sleeping again.
And what?
Sleep again.
Take a nap. I have a little trouble sleeping at night, so I have to take a nap to make up for it.
Do you have any favorite stories from your work life?
From where?
From your work life?
My work life. Oh, let me see. Yes, I worked with a wonderful teacher, or a wonderful lady when I worked for the state, and her name was Genevieve. And she helped me get started there working, and we became good friends. And I think she's gone now, because that was many years ago. And then I worked with Dolores Robert at the church, and she turned out to be a good friend, and invited me out to go to Marshall, Winschuler's in Marshall for my birthday, and gave me a white Bible. And she kind of befriended me, gave me some formal clothes, and invited me over for dinner quite often. And let's see. And at Hazel Finley, I've met a lot of people when I worked there. Good people. Oops, this one you are done with, aren't you?
What was your very first job?
Robert Halls. Well, after babysitting. I started babysitting about age 12 or 13. And then at 14, I went to work at Robert Halls and was a stock girl. That means I hung up the clothes that came in.
What was your least favorite job?
I worked in a potato chip factory for about 3 days. And that was awful. It was a factory job. And that was in Iowa.
Wow.
Who was your least favorite boss?
Least favorite boss?
Yep.
Oh. Probably Mr. Rademacher at Robert Halls. He was kind of rough on me.
Can you tell me about your religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs?
My religious beliefs are secular. That means they're based on science, laws of nature.
Do you believe in the afterlife? What do you think it'll be like?
I have no idea. I don't want to profess to pretend any of it. I'll just have to wait and see.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
No. I think you gotta know a person first.
What lessons have you learned from your relationships?
What lessons?
Toleration.
What'd you say?
To be tolerant.
To be tolerant. That's a good one. Right.
No cheating.
Did you enjoy school?
Yes, I love school.
What kind of student were you?
Oh, I always ran home and did my homework because I was always worried about not passing a grade. And I thought if I didn't pass a grade, that would dishonor my whole family. Because none of my sisters ever failed a grade, so I had to keep up with them.
What would you do for fun?
During school?
Whenever. Just
As a kid.
yeah,
Oh, for
sure.
fun. Oh, I like to play kick the can and ride my bike and climb trees. And let's see here. Played with paper dolls. We made our own fashions for our paper dolls from advertising pamphlets that came in the mail. And I like to push my cats in the baby buggies. And we used to have neighborhood wars, throwing stones at each other across the ditch. And let's see. Mostly riding my bike. I remember we had dirt roads and I'd go as fast as I could and the dirt would just fly. And I'd try to let go of the handlebars. Yeah, so I could do that.
What are your best memories of grade school, high school, college? What are your worst memories?
And what?
What are your worst memories?
Oh. Well, let's see. My good memories of grade school was kindergarten. We had a one-room schoolhouse. All the grades were in one room. And I liked that. And then the first grade, they started building our school. So we wouldn't have to go to a one-room school. And we could watch them building our school every day. And we had to write down what they did for our penmanship class. We wrote what they were working on in our new school building. And then in the 5th grade, I went to Everett School. I had changed schools. And that was a big school. compared to what I'd been going to. And we had a tunnel under our street that went to the restaurant on the other side of the street. We had to use the tunnel. And that got kind of dangerous because everybody would run and push everybody, and it was cement. Just a big cement tunnel. But that was kind of fun, going under the street by tunnel. And then when I went to college, I had to take the bus home. I rode in the morning with our neighbor, next door neighbor, David Schmidtman. Then I had to take the bus home because we had different class hours. And that was miserable in the winter because it would be dark out. And I'd get home and it'd be cold and dark, and I'd have to do homework.
When and where were you born?
When? 1941, May 1st, in Alma, Michigan, in a old stone building called Smith Hospital. And there was a statue of a woman holding a baby out in front of that hospital. It was really just a big stone house, it looked like.
What were your parents like?
My father was an alcoholic, so he and my mother got divorced shortly after I was born. And my mother was very patient, and she got remarried to Bruce, my stepfather. And my dad got remarried to Margaret, my stepmother.
What was the worst thing you ever did as a child?
Oh, I smoked a cigarette out in the back field with Vicky, my friend. And the neighbor caught me out there smoking a cigarette.
Did you have a nickname?
Chi-Chi.
How did you get it?
Well, I guess from a soap opera on the radio. Before we even had television, we had soap operas on the radio, and I'd walk home from school every day for lunch and listen to that soap opera.
Who were your best friends?
Well, when I was in East Lansing, I had two best friends, Punky and Tootie, and Ronnie Mangles. And after I moved to Berry Avenue, it was Vicky Brooks and Ethel Lawoto.
What were they like?
Well, they were different from each other. Ethel was very studious and very smart, and Vicky was a party girl. And she was always wanting to go places and do things.
How would you describe a perfect day when you were young?
Perfect day. Oh, a day without worms on the sidewalk, because when I'd walk to Vicky's house, I was always afraid of stepping on the worms. After it rained, the worms all came out on the sidewalks.
Do you have any favorite stories from your childhood?
Oh, many, many. Let's see here. Oh, when I was in high school, I took a train to California with my stepmother, Margaret. And we went to stay with her daughter in Riverside, California for about 2 weeks. And we went to Disney World, or Disneyland, and what was the name of that place? I forgot that one place we went to. But we went to that Wilson Observatory, Mount Wilson. What was the name of that other place like Disneyland out in California?
Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, Knott's Berry Farm. We went there. And it was fun. Let's see. Oh, I walked to the show in East Lansing a couple times. And one time I had eaten a tuna fish sandwich, and I got to the freeway, started to cross the freeway, and I threw up that tuna fish sandwich. And We played kick the can. Oh, and we took a trip to Florida when I was 11. And that was to bring back Bruce's parents. We took the train to Florida and drove their car back because they couldn't drive their car home. And we stayed at Samoset while we were in Florida. Went fishing with Bruce's mother. Guess that's about the only trips we took. Oh, Mother and I would take trips to see Jackie in Chicago, my sister, on the train.
Were you ever bullied as a kid?
Oh yeah, I remember this one girl putting me in the outhouse. We used to have an outhouse in East Lansing, and she shut the door on me and wouldn't let me out of the outhouse. I guess that was the only time I was bullied.
Tell me about another time you got into trouble.
Well, once I was walking with Vicky, and she pulled the fire call box. So I ran home. But I didn't pull it, she pulled it. We used to have fire call boxes in the street. I think they took those down probably because kids were pulling.
Do you regret anything?
Regret anything? I mean, just quitting school. Yeah, I kind of regret that.
If you were to give advice to me or my children, or even children to come in our family, what would it be?
Well, to exercise and watch your health, and take care of your body, and go to school as long as you can.
What is your ethnic background?
Well, I guess it's Scottish and English. We went to Scotland, to the town of Dalrymple, and some of my ancestors were from Scotland.
Where is your mom's family from?
Her side of the family's from England.
Where is your dad's family from?
Scotland.
Who are your favorite relatives?
Favorite relatives?
Yep.
Let me see who I got. Oh, Aunt Flossie. I remember she used to take her teeth out all the time and scare me.
Do you remember any stories they used to tell you?
What's that?
Do you remember any stories that they used to tell you?
Oh yeah, my mother used to tell me a lot of stories about Aunt Flossie. About she gave her husband's business to my dad after her husband died, and he kind of squandered it away. And my mother told me about my grandpa's farm and how her stepmother's, her side of the family, kind of squandered away Grandpa's farm.
What lessons did you learn from the time in your life?
From what?
What lessons did you learn from the time in your life?
From time in my life? Just to take one day at a time, I guess. Oh,
It's a little redundant question. I think you've already answered that one a couple times.
That's my answer for a lot of things in life.
All right.
We've seen a lot of inventions since I was born, like cell phones and microwaves and televisions. We played outdoors more because we didn't have television to watch. And our telephones had dials on them, round dials, before the touch tone phones. And microwaves, we didn't have those. We had to cook everything on top of the stove. And of course, we didn't have computers. I'm still trying to get used to computers.
That's it.
Is that
Yep.
it?
All right.
Okay. Now,
Well, thanks for taking that time.
yeah, now it's Grandpa's turn next week. He'll
Yeah.
have a week to come up with some answers.
Yeah.